start off looking at some of the tools that we use for jewellery making. I've just brought some of the basic ones along here. I mean, there's many more you can get involved with later on. To start with, I've got the flat pliers here, or half round they're sometimes called because the back of them are round. These are used mainly for gripping things or squashing things, so things like the crimps and some of the leather ends that I'll show you later on, we use these for. You can hold things with them, so if you're working on something and you need to grip it really well, then they're very good for that. The next ones I've got here are the round nose pliers. These are really useful, and they're the sort of thing you haven't normally got something in the toolbox or the kitchen drawer that you can kind of improvise with. They're tapered round ends on these, so they're good for doing wire work, anything with making earrings, with head pins, making loops, all that kind of thing, which again we'll show you later on, but they're very useful. Next I've got the cutters here, just as they sound. These are slide cutters, the sort of thing you might have something in the toolbox you can improvise with, but again working with wire and the head pins, that's what we use for cutting those. Slightly more specialised ones I've got here then, these are the crimping pliers. Again, as I say, we've mentioned crimps, we will look at those when we look at making some jewellery later, but these are sort of specially designed for actually squashing and folding the crimps to make a neater finish than just using the flat pliers. I've also got up here memory wire cutters. These are sharp cutters. The memory wire, if you use that, is very tough, and if you use the regular cutters on those, you would actually get dents all along the blades very quickly. So these are really just for cutting memory wire and any kind of thicker wires. I've also got just some little nippers here which you can use for cord and thread, that type of thing, because find with if you're using the cutters on the thread, you don't always get such a sharp cut really, particularly when they've been used for a while. Another alternative, particularly if you're just starting out, are what we call the multipliers. These have really got all the components of these first three that I showed you, but built into one plier. So you can see down the bottom you've got the sharp for the cutters, you've got a little flat piece there for squashing, and then it ends up with a round nose. So they're quite a useful tool if you're just starting out, really. The other thing which you're going to come across will be needles, particularly when you're working with the tiny little seed beads or the rock eyes and you're using a needle and thread. So again, I've just brought a few along here, but obviously they're very fine because they've got to go through the holes in the beads. They come in different sizes, which are a kind of a gauge. So the higher the number, the thinner the needle. So for example, here I've got a size 10, which I tend to work with where possible because it's one of the bigger ones, so it's easier to thread. You can go right down. I mean, I've got a size 15 here, which is very fine, which is quite difficult to thread. But if you are using very small rock eyes and you're needing to go backwards and forwards through the threads a bit, then you need something like that. But as I say, we will use most of these tools in the projects later on in the DVD when we're making things up. So that's just introduced you to some of the basic tools to get you started.